Welcome to the AAC Report, only on the Knightline Sports Network, Monday, April 29th. I'm Jeff Allen. Well, the American Athletic Conference had their coaches teleconference last week, talking about spring practice and spring games. And we're going to break that up into a two-part series for you. Of course, we were going to focus on the teams that are on UCF's schedule for 2019. And we'll give you the first half this week and the back half next week. So first we start off with UConn coach Randy Edsall. He discusses building the program into UConn the second time around after they went 1-11 last year in his first year back.
Well, I just think that, at times, these kids now understand what the expectations are for the program, and they're not going to change. We're not going to compromise them. And I think it took, it took some time for, some of the young men to understand that. And there were guys that maybe didn't understand that, but they, graduated and didn't want to put in that kind of effort and have that kind of accountability that, our program, has. And so you've seen the adjustment. And I've always said that you'll really be good, when it's taken over by the players. And it's, I kind of reminisced a little bit. It's very similar to when I got here the first time. It took a couple years to get going to where we wanted to, just to implement what we needed to increase the athleticism and abilities from a recruiting standpoint, and then developing those young men. This is always going to be a program where you have to develop people. It's not one of these where you're going to get the 4- and 5-star guys or anything like that. And, we've proven that we know how to develop guys. And, you go and you find those guys that want to work, that are team guys, that have ability, and want to do those things, and we're getting that. We still got work to do, but we're getting back to where we were, getting back to our roots, and that's the good thing, and that's what you see, and that's one of the reasons why we named captains this year, because we have guys that have those qualities. We didn't have them before, and that's why I had a leadership council. But now we've got guys that, earned the right to have the C on their chest and to, be the leaders of our team. And then there's more guys that are also, contributing that, are part of that package as well.
So Randy Edsall, who got UConn on the national scene back in his Big East days, he's trying to do it a second time around, and definitely wants to improve on last year's one-win campaign. The Cincinnati Bearcats, they were the biggest challengers to UCF in the Eastern Division last year. Coach Luke Fickell took Cincinnati from 4 wins in his first year to 11 last year, and loves the progress that the team has made going into his third season.
Well, you can definitely feel the energy and the momentum from year 1 to year 3 in the springs. And a lot of it obviously has to do with the season we had, the finish we had. That really, really helps. In everything you do. They're going to work hard. Guys are going to work hard whether they're coaches or not. But when you have some success and you can see the fruits, a little bit of the labor, there's definitely a different attitude about things. And so we want to be able to build off of that and throughout the entire spring. But it was definitely a different spring for us. The first 2 springs you had no bowl games, so you were way behind in a lot of the things that you're doing. And, in our third spring, not only is it the third spring where guys, are better comfortable with the systems and the expectations, but also you had 14 practices for a bowl game that, make you a little bit different even with the youth of your team. So it was good. The energy was probably the biggest difference. Not just mean energy every day, but just the excitement because, whether they're coaches or players, they're seeing some of the successes for the work that they're putting in.
And Coach Fickell also gave his assessment of the conference.
Well, you can go each and every year. I think it's obviously a great league. It doesn't get the credit it deserves. The talent and the throughout the entire league is unbelievable. I really do believe that. I mean, some people would say, and I would initially say, well, maybe there's a lack of some of the line that you might see in the Big Ten or the SEC with the D-line and O-line. But the reality is, I think in college football, there's a lack of development of offensive line, just with the systems and the schemes that so many people are using nowadays. But as a whole, I think you'd be misled if you didn't really take a hard look and see something different in this league and not just take it from the outside of what people perceive based on not being a part of the big boys. And actually, I fight with that all the time, not to get off the subject, but I don't know who created the name Power 5, which we don't use in our program, so I don't say it, but why that was created when 6 years ago it didn't matter if you were in the Mountain West or wherever. There was a call to BCS, and now that they went to a playoff, all of a sudden there's this term Power 5, and I don't know what it means. There's nothing different. I mean, everybody knows that there might be differences in how much money you have based on your payoffs from your league TV deals, but who cares? Why do we even distinguish ourselves in any way different? It doesn't matter. I mean, anybody can go to the playoffs if they win.
And I totally love that stance by Coach Fickell, and having the gravitas to say, we're not going to refer to ourselves as a G5, or we're not going to, give credence that there's a Power 5 that's better than our conference. Want more coaches to do that. UCF certainly led the charge there, and Cincinnati getting on board with that line of thinking certainly does not hurt. ECU's new coach, Mike Houston, he had great success at FCS James Madison, including a 2017 national championship. Talks about being part of the AAC and how his Pirates fared this spring.
Well, I think first off, it's just it's an honor to be a part of the American Conference, and obviously being a part of college football for as long as I have been. I understand the reputation that the American has and the depth and quality of the teams in the American. So excited to be a part of the conference. So as far as the spring at East Carolina, it's a deal where you look at where we were December 3rd when I took the job and where we are today, and I think that we've made tremendous strides. It was a challenging spring on a lot of fronts to kind of establish some protocols and some standards, and we're still doing that. So it's a process that's ongoing, but I think the players have been very positive with their reaction to our staff and how they have they want to be better, they want to improve, they want to get this thing turned around. So I think that their attitudes have been a big positive.
By the way, Mike Houston in that 2017 season led the Dukes to a 34-14 win over ECU as they try to rebound from a tough year last year, 1-7 in the conference and 3-9 overall. Temple has a new head coach in Rod Carey. After Jeff Collins departed for Georgia Tech, the Owls hired Manny Diaz from Miami, who then returned to the Canes after Mark Richt stepped down. Carey moves over from Northern Illinois, where he won 4 division titles and 2 conference championships in the MAC, and tells us why he decided to take the Temple job.
Yeah, well, I always said 2 things that, you're not leaving Northern Illinois. We had a really, really good football program there, and they still do. You're not leaving Northern for something that's worse, and you're not leaving Northern for something to do next. You're at Northern, and if you leave there, you're leaving for something better. And so the timing of everything, was interesting, obviously, with the Manny Diaz thing and all those things. But listen, anytime, and I think this is true of you, Dan, of me, of anybody, that if you're in a job and another employer comes and starts offering you something that your current employer can't, you need to look at that. And that's just the truth to it. That's everybody would and everybody does. So is there a financial component? Absolutely, there's a financial component, and anybody who says there isn't is lying. But that is certainly not the reason that you make that decision. Because if you're making something just for money alone, then you're going to end up being pretty unhappy pretty quick. So as I got into it, and then you get in and you dig into Temple, where it's located, right in Philadelphia with unbelievable facilities. We play at the Link, and then you're talking about all the people around here with the recruiting. Just was absolutely very attractive to me. And then the type of kid that we're recruiting here and that is here at Temple, I enjoy being around. And, just a hard-working, blue-collar attitude that is very prevalent. And that's kind of what our university is, too. And I just, quite frankly, I fell in love with that.
And I totally think this is going to work out for the better for Temple after what happened with the Manny Diaz situation. Manny Diaz clearly was going to use Temple as a stepping stone, and believe me, this is a school that's been hurt by being a stepping stone, having to constantly change out coaches. And I think in this situation that Rod Carey is going to be there for a while, that he will entrench himself in there. And again, he did very well at Northern Illinois, and I think he will translate that as well in Philadelphia. So let's go down the list of the American Athletic Conference players that were chosen in the 2019 NFL Draft. And leading the way was Ed Oliver, the stud defensive tackle from the Houston Cougars, selected with the 9th overall pick by the Buffalo Bills. And Ed Oliver comments on how he will fit in with the Bills and the expectations of taking over for the recently retired 6-time Pro Bowler in Kyle Williams.
I just want to come in and compete and earn the guys around me trust and earn my coach's trust. Haven't set any real goals or expectations. I just want to come in and compete and ultimately help the team win.
And a lot of us in the media have sort of looked at this pick as a way of replacing Kyle Williams for the Bills. I would imagine that puts some pressure on you. What do you think when you hear that you're Kyle Williams' replacement?
What do I think when I hear I'm Kyle Williams' replacement? I think Kyle Williams is a great player. I think Kyle Williams will wear a gold jacket one day. I just want to come in and compete and help the team in any way possible. I don't even think about that. Kyle Williams is in a league of his own. I haven't even come close to touching. I just want to come in and compete.
Does it put an extra layer of pressure on you at all?
No, sir.
And Oliver, obviously, when he was on the field for Houston, oftentimes a man among the boys, and certainly will fit in with the strong defense they're building in Buffalo. In the second round, Rock Ya-Sin went to the Indianapolis Colts, the cornerback from Temple. And also in the second round, and a pick I am so delighted with as both a Dallas Cowboys fan and a UCF Knights fan, Trysten Hill, going to the Dallas Cowboys as the 58th overall pick in the second round. I tell you, this is great. I've been wanting to have a night on the Cowboys to root for a long time. Sia Burley was probably in camp a long time ago as free agent. Quincy McDuffie a few years ago. That's the only UCF guys I could ever remember getting to the Cowboys, at least as far as camp goes. But Trysten Hill will be counted heavily upon as a high draft pick for the Dallas Cowboys. They did not have a first-round pick, so in essence, he is their top draft pick. And Trysten Hill, he says being a Dallas Cowboy is a dream come true.
It means everything to be picked by the Cowboys. This is a dream come true. This is everything I've ever wanted, to play for Coach Marinelli and to play for, this organization and have that star on the side of my helmet. It means so much. I think the interest comes from Coach Marinelli. He came to work me out on my pro day. And just, the way that we talk to each other, I could tell that, he wants the best for me, and I want to lay it all on the line for him and in the organization. Mr. Jones, Marinelli, all those guys, it means the world to me. Right when I went on, even before the visit to the Star, I could tell that there was something special between me and Marinelli and something special between me and Mr. Jones. I remember talking to him like it was yesterday, there was something special between me and Mr. Jason. I'm just so excited to get ready to do it. I can't even put it in words.
And I tell you what, Trysten Hill is a perfect pick to play in that 3 technique in a Rod Marinelli defense. That's what made Warren Sapp a Pro Bowler. Not saying Trysten Hill is going to be the next coming of Warren Sapp, but he's got the size, he's got the speed, he's got the motor that will fit right in. Cowboys like to alternate their linemen, and I think most teams have to do that now in today's NFL because of all the passing. The defensive linemen are always having to be on the chase, so you do have to have a lot of guys to rotate. I mean, they're going to be very strong with Robert Quinn on one end, DeMarcus Lawrence on the other end, and getting that middle beefed up with a guy like Trysten Hill, certainly a strong move for the Dallas Cowboys. In the 3rd round, Darrell Henderson, the running back from Memphis. UCF fans are not sad to see him graduate, as he always put up great games against the Knights, and he is a terrific running back. And he goes to a great situation with the Los Angeles Rams, the defending NFC champions. And he certainly could be a guy that could be counted upon. If Todd Gurley continues to have injury problems, he certainly can be a viable option for him. His running mate at Memphis, Tony Pollard, was drafted by the Cowboys in the 4th round, the 128th pick overall. Pollard also excelled at special teams with kick returns. It's going to be a little harder to do that in the NFL with the lack of kickoff returns, but he certainly gives them a guy that can be a good speed player for them. Isaiah Johnson, the quarterback from Houston, went to the Oakland Raiders in the 4th round. In the 5th round, Raquel Armstead, the running back from Temple, he goes to Jacksonville. Amike Egbuye, the outside linebacker from Houston, he was picked up in the 6th round by the Los Angeles Chargers. Donnie Lewis Jr., the corner from Tulane, he was picked in the 7th round by the Cleveland Browns. Other picks in the 7th round were Cortez Broughton, the defensive tackle from Cincinnati, to the LA Chargers, and Michael Dogby, the defensive end from Temple. He will now reside in Arizona with the Cardinals. So all in all, 11 players selected from the American Athletic Conference into the NFL Draft. Turning now to some other sports in the American and men's golf. Last week, Memphis took the championship as they finished at even par. SMU at 12 over was second. UCF finished third at 13 over par. And in the individuals, it was Mac Meisner of SMU at 13 under par. Austin Squires of Cincinnati at 7 under par was second. Brad Baldwin of Memphis at 5 under was third. And Kyler Tate of UCF finished fourth at 4 under par. Meanwhile, for women's golf, 3 teams and 3 individuals from the American Athletic Conference are headed to the NCAA Women's Golf Regionals that was announced last week. The American champions Houston, along with UCF and ECU, were selected as teams. Memphis's Michelle Fletcher and SMU's Bridget Dunn and Tulsa's Lorena Singh will compete as individuals. Houston will compete as the number 8 seed at the NCAA Auburn Regional on May 6th through 8th in Alabama. So from NCAA Regional play, 24 teams and 12 individuals will advance to the NCAA Championship set for May 17th through the 22nd in Fayetteville, Arkansas. The weekly baseball honors. We award in baseball the Player of the Week from the American. Brian Packard, the junior from ECU, hit .550 in ECU's 4-in-1 weekend, which included its 5th American Series win of the year. He had multiple hits in 4 of the 5 games, reached base a total of 15 times, slugging .850 with 9 runs scored, 5 RBIs, and a home run. The pitcher of the week was Alec Weisley from USF. He combined for 8 2/3 shutout innings in 2 starts last week, scattering 8 hits, 2 walks, while totaling 8 strikeouts. And he tossed 2 innings in a 6-1 win at Florida Gulf Coast on Wednesday before 6 2/3 in a 4-3 series-clinching win against Houston on Sunday. And Matthew Micah of UCF, he made the honor roll, hitting .538 in a 3-in-1 week, including an American Series win over the Memphis Tigers this past weekend. And in softball, the Player of the Week is Ariel James, an infielder from Houston, posted 3 multiple-hit outings last week, including a 3-hit performance in their series-clinching win over UCF, tallied a double and triple along with 4 RBIs while scoring a pair of runs. And the pitcher of the week, Georgina Korick from USF, 2-0 last week, 14 innings and allowing only 1 run in her 2 complete game wins, limited batters to a 128 average, 6 hits, 12 strikeouts. She's won 6 consecutive starts and 22 games overall, and a sizzling .88 ERA for the year. And UCF's Demaria Cannon made the honor roll, batting .500 last week with a pair of doubles and recorded a pair of 2-hit games against Houston while drawing 3 walks and scoring a pair of runs. Well, that's about going to wrap it up for this week's show. As always, make sure you check out all of our offerings on the Knightline Sports Network. Sons of UCF, Knightline 188 just posted this week, so check those out. And I also invite you to check out my personal podcast, Jeff Allen Sports Talk. You can catch that over at jeffallensportstalk.com or any of the usual podcast providers. And, of course, you can follow me on Twitter at JeffAllen_88. This has been the AAC Report only on the Knightline Sports Network. I'm Jeff Allen. Thanks for listening.